Welcome back, everyone. Grab your hard hats and unroll those blueprints because today we are diving in, and I am absolutely thrilled to step into the role of your chief engineer. This explainer was made by Forge College, and we're going to unroll the schematics to look straight into the internal mechanics of Sealevel. If you've ever wondered how millions of transactions are processed with such lightning speed and, honestly, incredible precision, you are exactly in the right place.
So here is our architectural map for today's explainer. 1. Welcome to Sealevel. 2. Sealevel's core components. 3. Rooms, workers, and keys. 4. The execution lifecycle. 5. Handling nested CPIs. And finally 6. Takeaways and next steps.
All right, Section 1. Welcome to Sealevel. Bridging the gap.
Building on our previous lesson, where we covered the high-level what and why of Sealevel, we're now shifting our focus to the concrete how. Now, to anchor ourselves, we really have to start with our base building block, the execution unit. This is a discrete task that's scheduled and executed by Sealevel based entirely on its declared account access list. And that last part, that is the golden rule right there. Remember, safe parallel scheduling is fundamentally impossible if access is dynamic, spontaneous, or undisclosed. The system literally needs to know exactly what you plan to touch before it even lets you onto the factory floor.
Moving right along to Section 2, Sealevel's core components, or as I like to call them, the cast of characters.
Think of Sealevel as this highly efficient, perfectly synchronized factory. It's run by a small set of cooperating components, and each one has a very specific, non-overlapping job, kind of like a tight engineering spec sheet. Let's walk through it. First up, intake and validation. This checks the signatures and extracts that all-important access list. Next, the access resolver maps your keys to actual runtime accounts, just ensuring that everything you need actually exists. Then we have the scheduler. This acts as the brain, grouping non-conflicting units together. The executor steps up next to run the actual code under strict compute limits. And finally, the commit or finalizer stage. This either safely applies your writes to the ledger or it tosses them out if something went wrong. Every single component does exactly its job and absolutely nothing more.
On to Section 3, Rooms, Workers, and Keys, the metaphorical blueprint. Okay, to make this incredibly clear, I want you to imagine an enormous office building. Accounts are basically private rooms containing important files. Execution units are the workers who need to enter these rooms. And the scheduler, well, that's our very busy building manager. Now, in this building, locks act as room keys. If a worker only needs read access, it's like they're just watching from the doorway. The manager can easily let a dozen workers stand at that doorway and look at the room's contents at the exact same time. No problem. But write access is an entirely different story. That requires exclusive use of the room. If two workers march up to the manager demanding exclusive write access to the exact same room, the manager has to serialize them. He literally makes them take turns, because otherwise they'd bump heads, spill their coffee, and overwrite each other's hard work. It'd be chaos.
Section 4, the execution lifecycle, a day in the life of a worker. Let's actually trace our worker's consolidated blueprint, from walking through the front doors all the way to clocking out. Step 1. The worker arrives and shows their ID. That's transaction ingestion and validation. Step 2. The manager checks if the rooms the worker wants actually exist. That's account resolution. Step 3. The manager assigns the worker to a shift with other non-conflicting workers, which is the scheduling phase. Step 4. The worker grabs the room keys, goes inside, and gets down to work under a strict time limit. That's lock acquisition and execution. And finally, Step 5. The worker finishes up, the manager inspects the work, and if it's all good, it becomes permanent. That's commit, finalize, and clean up.
Up next, Section 5, Handling Nested CPIs, Temporary Room Access.
Now, as any engineer knows, things don't always go exactly to plan. What if a worker is locked in room A, deep into their task, and suddenly realizes they need a file from room B to finish the job? Well, they can't exactly break the door down. This brings us smoothly to the whole concept of cross-program invocations, or reentrancy. So, a cross-program invocation, or CPI, allows a running program to request nested access to another program. But here is the catch. The building manager is completely ruthless. They enforce the exact same key rules for nested access. If the worker tries to touch a room that they didn't declare way back at the front door in Step 1, the manager immediately stops them, fails the transaction, and throws them right out of the building. No joke. You absolutely cannot bypass the declared access list, not even temporarily. And finally, Section 6, Takeaways and Next Steps. Back to the blueprint.
Let's pull back and look at our completed blueprint to summarize the big picture here. That way, you'll be completely ready for practical debugging. The crucial point is that by understanding these principles, you aren't guessing anymore. Parallelism relies entirely on non-conflicting declared access. Because Sealevel separates its component responsibilities, you can easily debug exactly where a failure happened. Read and write locks enforce isolation perfectly. And look, if you want your transactions to run lightning fast, you've got to optimize them. Favor read-only access wherever you possibly can. And minimize your shared writable accounts so your workers aren't just standing around waiting in line for the same room.
By visualizing workers and rooms, you can easily spot contention hotspots and optimize your payloads like a total pro. Now, this explainer was made by Forge College. I highly encourage you to head over to forge.college to explore more Web3 concepts, dive into our courses, and master that Sealevel tooling. But before you go, I want to leave you with a provocative question to ponder. If you were to look at your most recent transaction payloads through the eyes of our strict building manager, how many unnecessary write locks are causing your workers to bump heads? Think about it. See you next time.